Yes, welcome to the No Say Project. I'm Marc Stevens, author of Government Indicted, which you can get a copy if you want to help support the show in the description. And in the description, I have other ways and links that you can help support the big show. Glad to be back. Actually, the second Monday since I started doing the live stream again there. So I'm glad to be here. And I'm going to try a little thing here with the tech stuff. I think it's fine. So let's just get right into this. If you want to join me on Discord, the server, if you just look down below, it is Marc Stevens NSP. That is the name of the Discord server. And you can chat. I don't know if the super chat is set up. But if you'd like to help support the show, I can do more shows more frequently. You can do so in the description if the super chat isn't actually working. It's supposed to be, but you guys know how the tech issues go with this particular show. Yeah, so, it's not a no state project without a tech issue. And I just kind of figured something out here with the OBS. I now know how people will edit live and you don't actually see it. So that's what was so great. Only those watching the recorded part of this, after I'm done, will be able to see what happened before, when the first few seconds, and you'll understand what I mean. You can it's really unfortunate. I'm gonna have to change that sometime during the show, but hey, at least I can connect with everybody there. Now I can't see the chat yet. I will get back to that. But somebody always has to leave a comment on the videos lamenting that I'm not the same guy. And so this last one that I saw today, because I finally logged into my YouTube channel, I hadn't done that since the last, I did it Wednesday. So yes, I'm going to be doing Monday and Wednesdays for now at 7 p.m. Arizona time. And so I log in and I got to get another one of these comments. And it was them lamenting that I don't talk about law anymore, which isn't actually true. I just don't want to take calls and do the same exact show. So if you miss the shows where I did take calls and we were only talking about court, there are hundreds of those shows still here on the No State Project YouTube channel. You can, and so they're all there. They're all still there. I've only had one video that YouTube pulled down, which was really stupid. And it was a year or two ago. I think it was about a year ago. And all I was doing was calling out anti-vax nonsense. And I had my whole video pulled down for medical misinformation. I didn't feel like challenging it. Oh, and I do want to address, somebody had said that I could sue, and they're well-meaning in the comment. I get that. I understand. And I appreciate it. The comment had to do with my being mislabeled, deliberately mislabeled, not as a sovereign citizen type. And I've debunked this dozens of times. I go through in some of the older videos, you can look them up. I go through in extreme detail how I am absolutely not a sovereign citizen, but that doesn't stop the critic from poisoning the well. Somebody's poisoned the water hole. And it's all done to just discredit me. So before I get into this, so you can see here what I'm going to talk about. The main objection or criticism of the work that I did that helped a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people, is a magical line in the sand. See, that's why they have to say I'm a sovereign citizen, because they cannot defend the imaginary line in the sand. And it all boils down to that. Don't look behind that wall. Don't look behind that curtain. Whatever you do, don't look behind the curtain. They want us to believe you got... There's my first tech issue. I got it out of the way. But they want people to believe, and apparently, well, again, I don't know. Maybe people were questioning him on this. I wouldn't know. I didn't watch the videos. I didn't go through all the comments. Another technical issue. So, they want us to believe the main criticism, and one of the critics was on the show, so I know exactly where what they're talking about, is it's this imaginary line that we have to accept a certain legal or political, well, it's a legal claim. And we're not supposed to upset that. So I'm wrong because I believe if you make a claim against me in court, however you want to frame it, it's philosophical, it's religious, it's spiritual, it's apolitical, or it's asexual. However you want to frame the allegation. What's important is every allegation against, this is what I believe. If an allegation is made against me, however you're going to paint it, if you're using it against me, fairness dictates I get to challenge it. But those accusing me of being a sovereign citizen, so-called, right? They want to discredit me by saying, well, there's an imaginary line. Okay? You have to accept that argument. You have to accept that claim from a guy with barely a high school degree, a high school education, who's going to go hold me into, file a complaint, and I have to accept that. Well, I call foul on that. So they have to smear me. He's a sovereign citizen. No, I'm just a regular guy, an anarchist, and I believe if an allegation is made against me in court, you can challenge it. Now, if they take that, there's no way to debunk that. The only way to do, because that exposes the situation, the proceeding is grossly unfair. Because even by their own codes, their own laws, their own statutes, their constitutions and whatnot, you have a right to confront your accuser, and for them to have jurisdiction, the one making the accusation bears the burden of proof. Oh, but not on that one, not on that one. That is showing how it's unfair. Grossly unfair. So they're going to leave that part out. So if somebody is interested in defending themselves, and that's, I take no stand in that whatsoever. I just know I've had a lot of success, and it's been replicated on several continents. If you hit the foundational claims being made against me, if I hit that foundational claim on which everything else hinges, it is the very foundation. It's the beginning. It's the first building block. And if I'm not allowed to challenge that, then the proceeding is not fair. So, somebody brought to my attention something that I couldn't watch. And I think it had something to do with anarchists still fetishizing law. Being an anarchist is mean that there's no rulers, not that there's no rules. As if we're going to have a society, we're going to live amongst each other, there have to be rules. I happen to think one of the foundational rules is live honestly, injure no one, give every man his due. That's where it begins and where it should end. So this really is more of what I forget what exactly the title. This is a law that me as an anarchist, and I think you as an anarchist, if you're an anarchist watching the stream, that this is a law that we can all get behind, and I'll explain why. So we finally get to we can finally get to this. Minnesota bill bans corporations from buying homes to rent out. It's a damn good start. The proposal comes from Minnesota families. Well, the proposal comes as Minnesota families struggle to find affordable housing in the Twin Cities metro and across the state. I can tell you this is not just exclusive to Minnesota. If you are in Phoenix and you go along some of the freeways in Phoenix, you will see shanty towns all over. I mean, all over. It used to be just down, I think it was Washington and Adams. So the number of the streets going north from downtown Phoenix, they're named after the presidents. So Washington and Adams, and they're one way. Once you get near the Capitol, in that divider, there's a whole string, and it's been there for for years. People have set up shanty towns there. So what this bill is trying to do is to ban corporations from buying homes to rent out. And I think it's a damn good start. And it's not fetishizing laws. Because it's easy to point the finger at the state or government. And there's no doubt an extremely destructive group of people, extremely destructive force. The thing is, they are a tool of the wealthy. How do you know that? Because the wealthy don't get held accountable. You got 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people that have been charged and convicted, and a lot of them convicted, that are sitting in prison right now for what happened on January 6th at the United States Capitol. But the big guys, the ringleaders, they're still walking free. They're still he's still threatening death and destruction if he's indicted. I've mentioned about the DuPont heir and how the DuPont heir was guilty of raping a child, his own child. And the judge just felt, he's rich. He won't fare well in prison. Oh. So government has always been and always will be a tool of the rich. So this is a good start, but it has probably no chance of passing whatsoever. What's so bad about that, Mark? What's the problem? Don't you love the free market? Aren't you an anarcho-capitalist? No, I've never been a anarcho-capitalist. And there's a reason why they're mocked so heavily by people of every political stripe, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yes, government has done a tremendous amount of damage, but they also allow people to act as fictions, these corporations, and they allow them to do unimaginable damage to the world's economy. And first, let's dispel the myth. There is no free market. That's a myth. That's an anarcho-capitalist myth. It doesn't exist. I don't think it really ever has. So what's the damage here? Well, first, let's get in. Esther Abaji would the ban would also apply to real estate developers and residential building contractors. The proposal comes as Minnesota families struggle to find affordable housing. The legislature calls for the state attorney general's office to enforce the ban. Yeah, well, they have a lot of money, so let's see. Even if it does pass, we'll see how if it's enforced. A corporation found violating the law would have 1 year to divest from the property. If the corporation fails to sell the property, it will be sold through the foreclosure process in court. See, we'll get into damage in just a second. Why this is a good thing, even if you're an anarchist. What I would like to see is this. It should apply across the board, not just corporations, all artificial entities, even trusts. Whoever owns the house has to live in the house. And I would go so far as to say they have to divest of all the property they currently own. Any corporate or artificial entity that owns single-family homes should have to sell them within 6 months. And yes, but you're talking about using the force of the state. I believe it's self-defensive force. And I'll give you my argument. I'll use Mesa, Arizona here as an example for my own personal knowledge. When I first went, we had to go look for a home in 2016. We were told that the rent at the crappy place we were at the rent was going to be raised substantially. Okay? It's the only word landlords use when they're raising rent. Substantial. So we had to finally get out. At the time, the average price per square foot in the Phoenix Valley was $90 a square foot. $90. So, things were really heating up. Mesa, Arizona is the largest suburban area in the United States because for I don't know how many damn years running now, it's one of the top 3 areas for people to be coming to. So the population has been exploding. The amount of building they're doing in the valley is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this before. And I've been here since 93. Never seen building like this before. Every single square inch is getting a warehouse. And they're going up in like 2 days. When we were able to buy, it wasn't until October. We looked all year, giving up for months at a time because we couldn't even get a bid in. When we did get a bid in, the prices we had been priced out. When we got a bid in, it was at $115 a square foot. In less than a year, it went from $90 a square foot to $115. Then we get to, and again, this is going on all over the United States, but it really started heating up because the so-called free market, Wall Street, and the investment class, the mega rich, and when I say mega rich, I'm talking about people who never have to worry about what something costs, even a house. I'm talking about people who have never struggled in their life, have never had any stress when it comes to making their bills. It's not even something they think about. So one of my favorite shows, Arrested Development. It's just a banana. What could a banana cost, Michael? What, $15? Completely diluted. Have no concept of what things cost because they don't have to worry about the price. They're not like me. And I'm sure like you. So what started taking place in 2020, the investment class decided they were going to wreak havoc on the economy at my expense and at your expense. So what were they doing? I know you guys. I can't see the chat just yet. Just give me. They started bidding $10,000 over asking price and cash. We're talking $10,000 over asking price, cash, 7 to 10 day close, no contingencies. Now, that created a wave. So by mid-2021, these animals were bidding $50,000 to $100,000 over the asking price. And come the end of 2022, when the feeding frenzy was really dying down, it was more January, February 2022, it started dying down. And the prices out here went from 115 a square foot in November of 2016 to let's say January 2022, to $330 a square foot. You cannot bid $50,000 to $100,000 over the asking price and have anyone turn you down. So it drove the price of the real estate through the roof. Now, that doesn't help regular people. I don't give a damn if my house is worth $330,000 when I only paid a square foot when I paid $115. It doesn't help me. I can't access that money. What it does is it increases my damn taxes and makes my stress level get to almost the breaking point because I'm paying so much. So you can sit there and you can blame the Fed. The Fed didn't do it. The government allowed this to happen. And so what it did was it drove up the cost of not only housing, it drove rent through the roof. Rent started at about 70 cents a square foot. It is $2 a square foot now. $2 a square foot. So you look, yeah, you got some media manipulation. I know for a fact when it goes from $70, 70 cents a square foot to $2, that's more than 200% of an increase, but they'll say it went up 7%. There's your fake news. So what that did was raise prices far more than any government policy did. So you combine that with the oil companies not increasing production after COVID, and when things did shut down, now you got massive price increases. They have to pass that on to the consumer. So when rent more than doubles, that's got to be passed on to the poor saps like us. And that throws people out of work. That throws people into the street because they can't afford to pay the rent anymore. That's why there's a rent and a housing crisis in the United States and Canada. Who caused that? That was the Wall Street and investment class. Because no matter how high prices get, it doesn't hurt them. So somebody would say, but my gosh, what incentive? Why would they pay? How bad a business idea program is this, or business plan, to literally bid $100,000 over asking price? How does that help? Well, let's say like you're like BlackRock, and you have, let's say, 50,000 single family homes, and you just in 1 week drove the price of a single family home in that area up $10,000. Times 10,000 by 50,000 houses you own, your bottom line just got huge. So the damage that did and is continuing to do rivals the damage done by any government agency, as much as I dislike government agencies. So, all right, so I've gone on a bit. So let me... All right, so now let me see what you guys are doing in the chat. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me take a look at the chat here. I guess I could have still done all right. Yeah, but the problem isn't single family homes. It's apartment complexes taking the place of no. I just went through, and maybe you didn't hear that part when you wrote that. It absolutely is. It absolutely is when you have... I actually know somebody, one of the richest people in Arizona, owns a company that has over 35,000 single family homes. One company. One company. Over 30,000 homes. That's just one particular company. So every time You go down on I-10 or you're on 60 in near Phoenix, here in the Valley, and you see those tents, or you see the videos of what's happening in Los Angeles. We can lay the blame for so much of the homelessness, not on a government policy directly. Well, it's the fact that the government allows this to happen. And someone's saying here, the minimum wage should be $0. I don't have time to get into that particular BS argument. Steve is saying, my apartment is 900 square feet. It's $2,000 a month. Yep. The average cost of a 700 to 900 square foot studio here in Mesa, Arizona is $2,000. If you want to, it's a staggering amount of damage that was done and is not being addressed. Although I give the guys in Minnesota, it's a start. You got to ban corporate ownership of single family homes, and they have to divest immediately, because if they were forced, you either sell or we foreclose. If they were forced to do that, the market would be flooded. My house wouldn't be, on paper, $330 a square foot. It would drop way back down to where it should be. All of a sudden, housing would be affordable. All of a sudden, rent can't be justified. Go rent a 1,200 square foot house here in Mesa, Arizona for $2,800. A wage is a simple supply and demand. That is, I wish I had the time, Michael, to discuss that with you, but it's not a matter of supply and demand. There is a huge power differential there. That's a whole other thing. Yeah, so your house value drops to nothing. It wouldn't drop to nothing. It would drop back down to a more normal level at where it was before they started spending $50,000 to $100,000 with no contingencies and paying cash. So kudos to them for at least making the effort to have it look like they're doing something that would have a positive effect on our communities. Because it's unfortunate, it most likely will not pass, because politicians are bought and paid for by lobbyists. They even did a study, I think it was Harvard, where the average person has no matter the numbers, the average person like you and me, we have no impact whatsoever on policy. It's the rich. It's always been the rich. And it doesn't matter to them. You want to talk about, and I'm getting a signal here. I'll have to cut the stream soon. You want to talk about evil. Yeah, people in government tend to be very evil. And the higher up they tend to go in that hierarchy, which is why we oppose that as an anarchist. The higher they go, the more evil they tend to be. Now, that doesn't mean that the average cop is not a bloodthirsty animal. Because we know how the cops are. But when you see someone like Donald Trump, when you see somebody like Boris Johnson, who so effortlessly can lie and lie and lie, it's like the only thing you could be sure with Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, especially Boris Johnson. I think Boris Johnson lies at an even more furious rate than even Trump. As easy as they lie and hurt people, Wall Street types do it every day. They don't care throwing people out. So let's see. You hate rich people. I hate rich people in the way you feel about government. How about that? You can call it hate, but I don't like what they do. When people hurt others, and they don't give a damn about the damage that they're causing. They're just trying to accumulate more money and more money and more money and more money. That's it. So do I hate people that hurt others? I guess you're right there, Mike. Michael, was it Michael Friend? I hate people who hurt others, especially when they're doing it for money they don't even need. The guy I'm talking about has more money than 3 generations of his family. His grandchildren's grandchildren couldn't spend as much money as that guy has. I hate that incessant drive for more and more and more and more for the sake of having more, just so that other people don't have it. Yeah, I don't like that. So Mark Klein here is BlackRock went on a huge buying spree the last couple. Yeah, it's criminal. Absolutely, the damage that just that one company did. That one company. It's almost incalculable, the number of people that they have hurt. Vanguard, BlackRock, Vanguard, Bezos, Musk, Gates. Yeah, all these billionaire types. Yeah. Dan is saying here in Maine, the houses are double the price they were. What was $120,000 is now close to $200 or better. Dan, I don't know if you heard, in Mesa, Arizona, October 2016, the average price was $115 a square foot. By January, February 2022, it was $330 a square foot. That's almost triple. Cop Block Hot Springs. Who decided they don't need more? If you've got already enough that you couldn't possibly spend it, and you use that, this is something. All right, let's get into this before I run out of time. Why are they so evil? And why is it wrong for someone to have that much money? All right, let's talk about that, because someone said it was simple economics. It was supply and demand. It's not that simple. Why is it wrong? All right, who decided they don't need more? I can tell you from personal experience, I don't give a damn what your education is. I don't care who you know. There is not a single deal that you can make. There's not a single thing you can do economically where you cannot lose because somebody has more money than you. All right? It doesn't matter. So money trumps talent. Money trumps contacts. That's the way it works. So you got a system that the more money you have, the more leverage you have, and now you can hurt other people. That's why such massive accumulations of wealth cause very damaging situations in the economy and in real life. If you are, look, put yourself in the shoes of someone like me, where you have to get out, you need a place to live, and some rich douchebag comes in and overbids you by $20,000. And at the same time you got outbid, he just drove up the price of the neighborhood. Now it's more difficult for you to buy one of the other houses because when you do things like that, this is what made it so bad. It's not that you're just out, some douchebag is outbidding just on that one house. It doesn't work in a vacuum like that. You're raising all the prices. So somebody may say, well, Mark, if your house is worth 3 times as much, why don't you sell? Because I have to get into something else. And if I sell my house at an inflated rate, it's going to raise the price. It's almost as if someone who says they're an anarcho-capitalist has no understanding of the fundamentals of how economics and things work. He's not just a rich douchebag outbidding me. He's outbidding me, and he's driving up the price of the rest of the neighborhood. Rich douchebag, more hate. Yeah. I don't live a life of luxury. I never have. Tell that to Rothbard. Well, Rothbard was wrong on an awful lot of things, and I don't have time to get into all that. Cop Block Hot Springs, you will own nothing and be happy is a threat to the rich more than the poor. I don't know about that. It's not like the Motorhead song, Eat the Rich. Michael Friend, are you mad because you aren't wealthy? I get angry because of the damage that has been caused, not only to me personally, but has been done to millions, tens of millions of regular people. That's what makes me mad. It makes me mad when a cop shoots an unarmed person when they're running away. That torques me something awful. And it also pisses me off when rich douchebags cause damage to millions and millions of lives. Now, if you're the type of person who can see some rich Wall Street types damage millions of people's lives, I mean, and tank an entire economy like they did in 2008, if you could just look at that and say, well, I'm not jealous of their wealth. It happens, it happens. That's more of a statement on your character than it is mine. All the more reason to abolish government. Well, government as we know it should be abolished. But I certainly wouldn't want the anarcho-capital wet dream where there was nothing to restrain the rich. You know, that's why libertarians and anarcho-capitalists are so easily targets of derision. Do you have any idea how much worse it would be? What the rich would do without government? We need the structure, I believe. I always said it wasn't, this goes back to Adventures in Legalland. I'm not opposed to the services and the regulations. I'm opposed to the manner in which they are initially provided. I don't like that it's at the barrel of a gun. Because we could do more to hold them accountable when they do allow the rich to run rampant over the economy. I don't want the rich. I don't want to be bested by people who aren't better than me as far as their talent or even, to be able to do X, Y, Z better. I don't want to, if I'm going to be bested by somebody, let them make a better pitch, have them produce a better work. But to be bested and to be kept from financially being successful just because somebody has money? Michael Friend here, I'm getting the impression that you've not suffered in your life. You don't know what it's like to put blood, sweat, and tears into making a deal and practically having it locked up, and some rich douchebag just comes in and outbids you. So, I think being an anarchist doesn't mean being a douchebag. It doesn't mean being a jerk. It doesn't mean being hateful. It doesn't mean blaming the victim. The rich Wall Street guys are not the victims here. They're the ones, just like in 2008, they caused it. Remember the whole thing? Too big to fail? So the ones who are screaming the loudest that forgiving $10,000 in student loan debt is socialism, they're the first ones with their damn handout, like with the bank failure caused by Trump rolling back bank regulations. They're the first ones with their handout. Oh, we got to have a bailout. But $10,000 in student debt, oh, that you can't have that. Oh, but but how many trillions of dollars to the banks? See, I was doing this show in 2008. That's not a distant memory for me. That was some of the hardest years of my life. So, to fault somebody for seeing worldwide economic tragedy and destruction and not be upset about that? All right. JC, it's not people with money who are the enemy. It's the people who want to control others. That's what the people with money are doing. Just like all the union busting. It's to control. It's supply and demand. God, come on. I don't have the time to get into how ridiculous a statement that is and how clearly unsupported by the facts that actually is. It's C1. It's not people with the people with tremendous amount of money use the leverage that gives them to enrich themselves at our expense. And I hope nobody here and watching, I hope you never have to go through that. I have personally gone through that more times than I care to admit. Losing a deal. Not because of a lack of talent, not because it's a lack of a good deal, and not because the guy doing it, the rich douchebag, was better. It's because he had leverage from money. Thanks for only mentioning Trump maybe once. Well, it went kind of with it. Anyone ever tried to do wholesaling? Well, they're part of the problem. They are part of the problem, and I'm not going to get into how unethical that is. It's all about control. No gas stoves, no combustion engines, and soon no physical money so they can turn it off when you say something they don't like. Come on. The stoves have been proven. You're burning gas in your house. It's proven to cause, lung problems. That's a really stupid one to point out. Not all rich people want to control others. I think it's more. And I've actually spoken to some really rich people. It's not about the deal and getting the deal because they don't need the money. They've told me directly, it's not about me getting more money. It's from keeping you from getting it. I don't want you to have that deal. And I don't want anyone else. I have to have it. It's a damn game to a lot of these people. Not all of them. Look, now Mark is for government banning stoves. No, I am for sensible rules to keep people from hurting other people. Gas stoves do hurt people. Mike, it's like a seatbelt. So, all right. I this went way longer. I'm very lucky that my camera has not died yet. Now, actually we're actually slowly starting to get back to the numbers of a live broadcast. So if you do hit the like button, I don't usually like to say that, but I think I saw that in one of the comments. That does help other people. So the more engagement we get, which is great with all the comments. So yeah, if you could just hit the like button, more people can see it. So LED lights hurt people. Natural gas. Those aren't rich people, though they may be. They are malevolent, narcissists, and psychopaths. Well, what kind of person has to amass so much money they couldn't spend it in 3 lifetimes? I would imagine that's narcissism. I tell you, your numbers will come up when you stop Trump bashing. You don't know the history of this show there, Mr. Friend. That's just what killed the numbers on the show was doing the same damn show every single time. That's just calling about court. So, and I'm not too worried about. Yeah, if people don't like me telling the truth about people like Trump, whatever. Okay, but I do appreciate everyone tuning in. I will be back on Wednesday. If you have an idea, or if you have you think is a better idea for what I should do on the stream on Wednesday, let me know in the comments. Mark, love you. Hey, and I'm glad you guys are tuning in. Especially since I've only done 2 streams before this, so I'm glad to see that. Cop Block, Hot Springs. Yeah, I'm glad to see you there. If you want to help support the channel, it is appreciated. I do have merchandise. I got the shirts, and you go directly to me. The link is in the description, so you can get to the my PayPal. You can get an Anarchy shirt directly from me, or you can get them in the links. I had the links are in there because I put them in there, so you don't have to worry that it's going to some scammer. It's not. So I do appreciate everyone tuning in. I have to go because I'm getting, I really got a lot more out of this battery than I expected. But I will be back on Wednesday at 7 o'clock Arizona time. Until then, salud.